I know, Dad, I already asked you about the movie, and I know you already said no, but my buddies really want me to go, and it just has a little bit of violence, just a little bit. And I know it's not real, and it just has a little bit of cussing, just a little bit. And I know it's not real, and it just has a little bit of nudity, just a little bit. And I know it's not real. So can I please go, Dad? Please, please, please. Can I please go?
Okay, you can go.
I knew you'd say no. You always say, what?
You can go.
Thanks, Dad. You're the best. I'm just going to go get ready.
Wait, but before you go, I knew you were I thought we might talk about this again, so I made you some of my special brownies that you love so much.
Oh,
I just know how much you love
Thanks,
them, so.
Dad.
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy this.
Yeah, why don't you try it here, because I just added just a little bit of something special to these. Just a little something that I don't normally do. Just added just a little bit.
Don't mess with perfection, Dad.
Yeah, I had all the normal stuff, eggs and flour and cocoa and all the good stuff, but I added just a little something.
What is it, sugar?
Well, there's sugar in it, but that's not what's new.
Brown sugar?
No, there's brown sugar, but that's not what's new either.
Old Spice?
No, I didn't put any Old Spice in there, no.
Cumin?
No cumin, no.
Paprika?
No, that'd be weird. No, I didn't put that.
What is it?
Well, it was just a little bit. I went in the backyard, just a little dog poop.
Dog poop?
It was just a little bit.
Oh, I see what you did there. Just a little bit. This is about the movie, isn't it? If you didn't want me to go to the movie, just say, don't go to the movie. Don't give me this dog doo-doo brownie. I don't even want to go to the movie anymore. I just want to go get a drink. And that better be lemonade in the fridge.
Let's hear it for him for learning that. Don't be no dog doo-doo brownies. That's nasty. Who's enjoying their summer? I have been. I like a lot of things about summer, like snow cones. Me and my wife went and got a snow cone last night, and we gave the baby her first bite of snow cone, and she freaked out, okay? It was really fun. But Monday, I'm going to a water park. Who has gone to a water park for the summer? Anybody? Yeah. Yes. Okay, so we're going to a water park finally. I have not been in swimming yet, so I didn't even swim at the youth swim party. I like water parks. When I was your age, I went to Schlitterbahn. Has anybody been to Schlitterbahn before? Okay. Schlitterbahn has the biggest lazy river anywhere, okay? It makes Hurricane Harbor's lazy river look like a bathtub, okay? It is huge, it is long, it goes on and on and on. And so I went with my friends, and we were down there, and we did the rides and stuff, but what we really wanted to do was ride in the lazy river. So what we mostly did the whole day was we got in a chain of these, and we just kind of, and you grabbed onto the person next to you on either side. I know people in the back row you can't see me, but I'm comfy, so. And we grabbed the person on either side, and we just laid there for hours, floating around the lazy river. Every now and then you'd rotate. Every now and then somebody would get bored and go flip everybody over, and then you get back on and you all take another nap. So we just floated and floated. And I was having a great time until it was about time to leave, and I realized something. We'd been there for hours. My friend goes, "Dude, you're really red." And I went, "Sunscreen." And at this point, it's too late because we've been there for 8-9 hours, all day long. And I did not wear sunscreen. And all I did literally was lay on a raft like this. Every now and then I would flip over. So, from the tops of my feet, luckily we wear swimsuits in this country, thank God. And then on my stomach, my back, my shoulders, my face, everywhere that was not covered by a swimsuit was burned. Not a little bit. I had blisters on my shoulders and all this, and everybody called me Crazy Lobster Man because I was literally red as you could get. And I'm one of those. I was always a good kid. I didn't talk back. I got on the bus and we were on the ride home. It was a band trip, and I was on my ride home, and one of the sponsors come back and says, "You have to wear a shirt on the bus." And I said, "No," because I tried putting a shirt on. I was like, it hurts. And it didn't make everything miserable. Just sleeping, taking a shower, putting on clothes, just those kind of things. Everything that I could do, it seemed like pretty much was miserable. It hurt so bad. Now, somebody came up to me and said, why did you get a sunburn? And I was like, I didn't do it on purpose, okay? I just didn't think about it. And it's not like, if you take something hot out of the oven and you forget the oven mitt, it's like, okay, you instantly know something bad is happening. Nobody takes the pan and is like, oh, I don't know what's happening. Okay, no one does that, okay? Like, that would be stupid. No one, because it's instant pain. I didn't know it was happening because it was very slow. I was just drifting along on my cool little raft and was burning the whole time. Didn't know it. Just drifting along and letting pain happen. And you probably had that. All of you probably had a nice, good. Some of you got a good one at camp, but good sunburns. And then it was about a week and a half later. It turned into peeling, and like. I was at Sunday morning church, and I took my shirt and I went like this, and it went. It's just like, okay, gross. All right, and so. But it all happened slowly as I just kind of drifted along. And I heard about this lady. She went to the beach, okay, and she was hanging out with her family. She was on a raft like this, and she was just laying in the water, kind of relaxing. Well, her family was doing some stuff on the beach, and she fell asleep. And when she woke up, she started to look, and first she couldn't see land. And then she could see it, but she had gotten so far out that there was no way she could swim back. She had fallen asleep for I don't know how long and just drifted. Little by little, those currents, they just move you a little at a time. But she had drifted. Luckily, a lifeguard had seen her drifting and called for a boat to go find her, and they did find her. But otherwise, she would have died, like stranded out in the ocean, all from just drifting, right? Now, nobody gets a sunburn on purpose. It happens slowly over time. You don't even realize it's happening. Nobody would drift out into the ocean and die on purpose, okay? It's a slow process that you don't always catch on to. And I have known a lot of Christians who were really close to God and ended up really far away from God, and they didn't get there on purpose. They kind of drifted there. And I've known a lot of people that ended up in a place in their life, and they said, how in the world did this happen to my life? How in the world did I ever think that was going to be a good idea? How in the world did this ever happen? And it happened because they drifted. They didn't get there on purpose. It wasn't like a one-day thing. It was a slow thing. I've known some people that were like super passionate about God. I mean, like when I said, who's the man? Jesus. He was the guy that's really loud. It was like, Jesus. Okay, they're super excited. If you're new here, we have this weird thing we do. If I say that or anybody says it, I mean, you could say it right now, and the youth group would yell it. Okay, it's just kind of weird. But it's kind of fun. But I knew some people that were so excited, like just always passionate about worship, passionate about God. I knew one guy, he was on a worship team, okay? 1 year later, he failed out of school. They got kicked out of school because he went to his finals high on pot. And I know he was because I was sitting next to him in the hallway, and I said, dude, are you okay? And he goes, dude, I'm so high. But it takes the edge off from my being nervous because he was nervous about his finals. It took the edge off right off into failing, okay? It was terrible. It was weird to me, crazy. A year before, he was so passionate about his relationship with God that he was on his worship team at his church. A year later, that's the big place. But you know what? It didn't happen one day. He didn't go to bed. He's passionate about his life with God and living right and doing it and wake up the next day, oh yeah, I'm going to go to my test today high on pot. Who can I buy this from? Okay, it didn't happen in one day. It strung out. He drifted. Turn to somebody and say, don't drift. Poke the person on the other side and tell them, don't drift. Nobody says, nobody who is like, okay, if you're a Christian and like you right now are excited about Jesus, there's been other people in your same position. And none of them one day said, you know what, I just want to do something today that'll cause me to lose my parents' trust for as long as I live at home. They'll never trust me again. I just want to do something like that. Or, said, you know what, I just want to get kicked out of school today. That sounds great. Or, I just want to get my girlfriend pregnant. That would be great. Nobody, that's not a thought that happens when you're a Christian teenager. I just want to murder someone. That'd be great, But people drift there. I have known and read about and known some pastors who, they were pastors, okay? And they had an affair with somebody in their church or a secretary. In fact, I had a friend, okay? He was married to a girl, okay? And she worked at a church. And she had an affair with another person that worked at the church who was married. Now, She didn't get married to him thinking, you know what, someday I'm just going to sleep with other people and ruin our marriage. That's my plan. Now, that's nobody's plan, but it happens, right? And it doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen instantly. They drifted there. It was one compromise, one poop brownie, one step at a time towards that direction. It was a compromise. They drifted. Say, don't drift. Don't drift. They drifted. It was a slow thing. My sunburn was a slow thing, but guess what? It was still very painful when I got there. It was a slow thing, but it was very painful. And if we allow the drift, we're going to talk about the drift. If we allow that to happen, it can end very painful, and it can take us places we didn't even know we were going or ever want to go. There's a guy in the Bible who you've probably heard of, and if you haven't, that's okay. He drifted. He allowed drift. Have you ever heard of the guy named Solomon? Anybody? Now, when you think of Solomon, what do you think of? Can anybody say, what do you think? I heard wisdom. Yeah, that's what I usually think of. Okay, he actually wrote 3 of the books of the Bible. Okay, he was a wise, very wise guy. God actually came to him. It was like a genie moment. Okay, God actually said, "What do you want? I will give it to you." Now, I know some of you would be like, superpowers. Okay, but I want to fly, go back in time. I don't know, but he didn't ask for money. He didn't ask for like power. He didn't ask for girls. He asked for wisdom, and God gave it to him. Now, with his wisdom, he got money, and he got power, and he got girls. Okay, with his wisdom, but he asked God for wisdom, and God made him very wise. And so he was king and all of that, and God had some laws that he had given the people of Israel to do. One of the things was that they weren't supposed to marry people from other countries who worshiped other gods. He told them, don't marry with people from other countries who worship other gods, and he even told them, don't trade with them. Like they can't trade goods and do all that with them. So here's Solomon. He's super smart, and he's got this idea though. Egypt was another country, and they had all the stuff that he wanted. And so he started trading horses with them. I'm smart. I'm not going to start worshiping their God just because I'm trading horses with them, right? I mean, that's silly. I'm not going to worship other gods. So he starts there. He starts doing that. Well, then he gets even more smart. And I want to kind of read to you what happens to himself. He was being really smart. It says, well, I'll just tell you the first thing. He marries Pharaoh's daughter. Now, kings did this back then, okay? If they wanted to make a treaty with you, they would marry that king's daughter. Okay, so I was like, hey, who's your best looking daughter? I want her, and I want to marry, and now we'll be like family, right? So our countries will never fight each other. So he marries Pharaoh's daughter, but I'm sure he thought, okay, I believe in God. I serve God. Marrying this one chick is not going to make me rebel against God and forget, worship other gods. I'm not going to do that. That's silly. Then it says, King Solomon, however, loved many foreign women besides Pharaoh's daughter. So Pharaoh's daughter wasn't the only one. It started with her. Then he kept going. Many women besides Pharaoh's daughter. Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonites, Hittites. If you want to, it's in 1 Kings 11, by the way, if you're curious. They were from nations about which the Lord had told the Israelites, you must not intermarry with them because they will surely turn your hearts after their gods. Nevertheless, Solomon held fast to his love for them. Now listen to this. He had 700 wives of royal birth. So in other words, he started with one. He was like, now things are good with me in Egypt. Hey, how about me and these people? Hey, hey, king, can I have one of your daughters? Hey, can I have one of your daughters? And he starts going to all 700 of them from royal birth. So we're talking about like 700 princesses, okay? This would be a very weird Disney movie. All right. I just said princess and I thought Disney. All right. Anyways, so 700 princesses from all around. He marries all of them, okay? He has 700 wives. It went from 1 to 2 to 5 to 10, and it just kept going. Started with that one little compromise, though. As Solomon, I skipped a verse. It says he had 700 wives of royal birth and 300 concubines, and his wives led him astray. As Solomon grew old, his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not fully devoted to the Lord, his God, as the heart of David, his father, had been. Now, so he began to turn and serve and worship other gods because of the influence of all of these wives. And then it says later, it says, so the Lord said to Solomon, Since this is your attitude, and you have not kept my covenant and my decrees which I commanded you, I will most certainly tear the kingdom away from you and give it to one of your subordinates. And then he tells him he's for his dad's sake, he's not going to take it from him, but from his son. And so then when his son becomes king, he loses over half the kingdom to somebody else, and it's a big mess. And it started with, he started trading horses with Egypt. Now, if you would have gone to him and said, hey man, you can't do that. If you trade horses with Egypt, you're going to lose your whole kingdom. He'd be like, that's stupid, okay? I'm not going to serve other gods because I'm giving horses with him. But it was a step. He started to drift. Well, I did that thing God said not to. And he married one woman. And this one woman, he probably made her a Christian. He was like, or not a Christian, they weren't Christians back, Christ hadn't come yet, but he made them a Jew, okay? You're going to follow my God. And she's probably following his God. And this is okay. And then he had a couple more and a couple more and a couple more. But eventually, as he just compromised and compromised, he got to a place where he was actually worshiping other gods, and he lost everything, or at least his son, because of it, lost everything. And Israel was forever split into two. And it started with the drift. Say, don't drift. Started with the drift. He was drifting. In fact, this is what drift is, okay? Drift is, I skipped a whole verse. Okay, I should look at my notes more. We'll read it again in a minute. Compromise. I had a verse that talked about drifting. You'll see it in a minute. Compromise is drift. Compromise is drift. When we compromise in our life, that is drift, okay? Now, I'm going to get a little uncomfortable. Is that okay? So uncomfortable is good for you every now and then. I mean, like if you're working out, you have to have some uncomfortable or you're never going to get stronger, okay? If you run, you got to run until you're uncomfortable or you're never going to get stronger. If you just run until you're comfortable, for me, that would be from here to the door. Then I got to take a little rest, okay? But, and that's why I don't run. But, you run until you're uncomfortable and you grow and you get stronger. So I'm going to be a little uncomfortable. I might talk about some stuff that makes you uncomfortable, but I'm going to do it anyways. Like in the skit, he was like, just a little bit, right? Of nudity was one of the things he talked about. And I was just thinking about how we as a culture sometimes we're like, you know what, it's just a little bit, and I'm going to look away anyways, or not really pay attention. It's on Netflix, it can't be that bad, okay? It's just a little bit. It's Netflix. I mean, it's on TV, right? And we say it's just a little bit. And what are we doing? We're starting that drift. As we compromise in that area. So for a lot of guys, it starts out with, it's just a magazine. They're not even naked, man. But they're wearing so little, and the whole purpose of it is to stir up lust, right? Looking lustfully is the sin. And they're in a swimsuit. They're not naked, but they're still lust. And what you're doing is you're starting to drift. And because it won't stay there, then you're looking at pornography. And then you're addicted. And then you're like, well, how did this ever even happen? I can't even stop. Well, it started way back here with just a little bit of something that we shouldn't have. And then it turns into, you're dating your girlfriend and you're on your Snapchat. Could you send me one of those pics? You know the pics I'm talking about? You're not wearing any clothes, okay? And you're trying to word it all smooth so she doesn't get mad. And she's kind of like, not at first, okay, I'll send him like a little less clothes. I'll put on my swimsuit. I'll put on this, my underwear, whatever. And it gets, and just a little bit. And next thing you're exchanging those pictures and you're like, hey, well, I didn't ever think I would really do that. And why am I doing that now? It started just a little bit. If you're a Christian couple, how many of you want to date somebody someday at least, okay? Anybody want to have a girlfriend or boyfriend someday? Yeah? Oh, y'all are going to stay single forever. Oh, okay. I don't even talk about this then. Okay, never mind. No, okay, so you want to date somebody, yes? Okay. Now, if you're a Christian and you want to live as a Christian couple and be pure, I've known so many couples that said, we want to be pure. We're going to live for God. We're going to do it right. And we get married. That'll be fun, okay? But we're going to stay pure. And then they don't. But it starts with, we started, we found a time we were alone and we just made out, okay? There was only kissing, and kissing is not a sin, and we talked about that, right? But kissing is not a sin, but they knew that it was not just a kiss goodnight. It was not just that. It was lust. There was more there. They could, when there's lust in your heart, you're making out and doing all that. And they're like, but we didn't technically do anything wrong. But they allowed lust to stay in their heart. And what did they start to do? They started to drift. And it wasn't long before the kissing wasn't enough. Then there had to be a little touching, right? And then I'm not going to go through all the steps, okay? Because that would be really awkward right now. Mom, you had heard what he said. Okay. So, and then, stuff starts coming off and on down the road. And it may be 100 steps between there and sex, but somewhere along the line, they just, and every time you go a little further, you get used to it. At first, oh, we shouldn't have done that. Oh, we shouldn't have done that. Oh, it wasn't that bad. Oh, it wasn't that bad. Oh, okay, I don't really care anymore. I don't care anymore. And then we kind of go to the next thing. And it's you compromise, and you just move on down the line, and you find yourself somewhere you didn't want to be. I sat in my office about 5 years ago with a guy in our youth group, and he looked at me and he said, I'm a drug dealer and I don't know how to stop. And I was like, wow. Because I knew a couple years before, he was a guy who was passionate about his relationship with God, and he would never have even dreamed of something like that. And I can tell you how it happened. It started with a party where he was drinking. It was just one drink. I didn't even get drunk. It wasn't even a big deal. Then it was 2 drinks. Then it was another party with a bunch of drinks. And then every time it was a weekend, it was time to go drink. And then drinking was enough. We went to a party that had something else. And then it was more drugs, and then it was more. And then he was dealing drugs, and now he was a criminal, okay? And it went so far, and it was because of a little compromise. At first, it was just, actually, for him, it was staying at a party that he shouldn't have. He should have just gone home. And then he kept going back until he took apart. And it was compromise. And compromise causes drift. When you compromise, you drift. And compromise takes you places. Sin takes you places you never wanted to go. You always will end up somewhere going, how did I end up here? And you may sit there and go, but okay, look, I'm never going to let it go past this. I'm just this one compromise, okay? So let's pretend that you live in fantasy land and that's true, okay? And that you never take it any further. Why, if God offered you 2 brownies? Everybody gets brownies after service. Chill. All right. 1 brownie has poop in it. 1 brownie does not. Which one do you choose? The poop. All right. No, you don't. All right. Because if I even told y'all that we have a whole bunch of brownies, but one of them has poop in it, you probably wouldn't want to eat any of them, because some of you are like, I'll take my chances. Okay. She would. All right. Seriously though, you wouldn't take the poop brownie if there was a good brownie, okay? Now, why I'm saying this is, why would you compromise and take something that's not God's plan when he has something that's so good for you? Because he does have a good plan for your life. And every time that I drift or I compromise, I'm stepping in the opposite direction of the plan that he has for me. Because when he says, don't do this, don't do that, do this, do that, he's not saying it just because, like, I'm God and I get to take away fun. He says it because he has like a good life that he wants for you. I can tell you from experience that when I am living in his plan, it is great. It is fun. There is no guilt. There's no shame. There's no pressure. It's good. It's fun. It's joy. When I'm living over here, I'm always afraid someone's going to find out. I'm always afraid, what if this happens? Oh, okay, I shouldn't have, and I feel guilt, and I feel pressure, and I feel all that. And when I'm living this direction, I'm drifting, it's never joy. But when I'm living this way, there's moments of, oh, that was super fun, but then I feel really scared that someone's going to find out. Okay, and then there's the drifting, the going towards him, not the drift, the going towards him that's so much different. So why would you take the one when you could have the other? Now let's show you that verse I was supposed to show you earlier, okay, that actually talks about this. It says, we must pay careful attention, therefore, to what we have heard, so that we do not drift away. It's a slow thing. He knew that. It's a slow thing. It's a drift. Nobody wakes up and says, hey, I'm not going to be a Christian anymore. I was living for Jesus yesterday. I'm not going to now. It happens. It's a slow thing, though. He says, so how does he take care of it? Let's pay attention to what we have heard. It starts with this: to pay attention to what you have heard. If you don't want to drift, you need to pay attention to what you have heard. Now, if you're a new Christian, you may not have heard much yet. Well, pay attention to what you have and keep learning more. Most of you already know what the Bible says about many, many things in your life. You know what it says about how to treat your parents, how to handle relationships, what it says about sex, what it says about filthy language or what you watch or what you do. You know what it says. So pay attention to what it says and how that relates to what you're doing. Am I allowing myself to drift away from this, or am I purposefully going towards it? Say, don't drift. So you have 2 options. You can drift, or you can do something else. He said, therefore submit to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. There's the option to submit to God, to say, I want to do his plan and not listen to the enemy's plan to go this way. I can submit, and this takes a lot of commitment, by the way, to submit to him. Because he's going to ask you to do things that aren't always comfortable. Everybody else is doing that, and he's asked me to do that. If I don't do this, those people are going to laugh at me. I'm going to look funny. I'm going to look different. I don't want to look different. But I'm going to submit. I'm going to commit to him and go this way. It says, submit to God, and check this out. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. In other words, whenever I take a step towards God, it's like God's over here, and as soon as I take that step, he's like, here I am. He draws near to you instantly, and then y'all are walking together. When you draw near to him, here he comes. He is ready. When we're walking away, we're moving ourselves out of his plan and what he has for you. So you have two options. You can either compromise and drift away, or you can commit and you can draw near. You can compromise and drift away. I'm just going to kind of, it's not that bad, just this one time, and let yourself drift. Or you can submit to him, you can commit, and you can draw near. And that's what I want for you. I want you to draw near. Don't drift. Say, don't drift. Don't drift. If there's an area in your life where you're drifting, stop it. Don't drift. You don't have to drift. That may feel easier at the moment because drifting is what everybody else around you is doing at the moment. It may feel easy. It may look really, really fun right now. But I tell you, it takes you to a place. I'm sure Solomon was like, I got all these women. This is fun. But it took him to a place he did not want to be. It took him to a place he never hoped he would be, never thought he would be. It may look great at the moment, but it always takes us somewhere where we don't. Drawing near to him takes us somewhere great, always. And I want to see you draw near to him. This is what I picture for you. I picture different ones of you, and I think of you serving God, and in my mind, you're always going to. Like you're never going to let yourself drift. I mean, we all have moments where we do stupid things. Am I right? Okay, I do. Okay, we all have moments where we do this, but in my mind, you go, wait a minute, I'm drifting. I'm going to go back near God. And that's what I see for you. I see you being a leader. Okay, a leader, when everybody else is saying, hey, let's go this way, you're like, no, man, we're going over here, all right? I don't know what you're talking about. We're going to go towards God. You're the one, when everybody else is saying, oh, we're going to go do this, we're going to do that, say, no, let's go to church. No, let's not do that. Hey, I know of a much better party, because there ain't no party like a Holy Ghost party. Because Holy Ghost party don't stop, all right? And you're the one that's leading, right? And taking them in the right direction. That's what I see you doing. And I want you to see yourself as that. You don't allow drift. And when you see it in your life, when you see compromise, you say, okay, I'm stopping this. I'm not going to let this happen. It may mean an awkward conversation with your girlfriend. It may mean an awkward conversation with somebody. It may mean you got to tell your boss or your coach, hey, I can't keep coming on that night because I need to go to church, because if I don't, I'm going to drift because I know me and I have to have somebody keep kicking me in the tail to go in the right direction. All right? And make me not drift, okay? So you may call some stuff, but you need to make that decision. So I just want to ask you this. Is there an area, and this is not an embarrassing thing, that you have drift, that you have compromise? And the reason I say it's not an embarrassing thing is because all of us at some points in our life have areas where we have allowed compromise and drift to come in and we start to slide. And if there is a spot, an area in your life where it's already when I was talking, it probably came into your head. You're like, I need to stop doing that. Then right tonight, I want you to make a decision. You know what? I'm not going to drift. I'm going to draw near. I'm not going to drift away. I'm going to draw near to God. I'm going to decide that is something I'm going to stop because I know it hurts me. Or maybe you just need to, and you're like, I don't really know of an area in my life I'm compromising right now, and that's good. I'm glad. Are you purposefully drawing near? Because you see, we tend to kind of almost accidentally drift. It just happens if we don't pay attention. But you purposefully go towards God. And maybe you need to make a new commitment. You know what? I'm going to go towards God. Maybe you haven't done that in a long time. And choose to go towards him. The way we end our service is we end it in prayer. And the reason we do that is because when we agree together, God does something in our heart. And so there will be people in just a moment at the side of the room to pray with you. If you have compromise you want to get rid of, you don't have to go up to him and be like, I'm struggling with pornography, if that's not comfortable for you, okay? But you could just say, I need you to pray with me about compromise. If you want to tell him what it is, you could tell him. You could be anything. It could not even be that. It could just be like, I need help with something at home. I need help with this. If you need prayer for anything, we'll pray for you at this time. And so we're going to sing part of a song together. And while we're singing, if you need prayer, just step out. There'll be people to pray with you and agree with you and believe that you're going to turn and draw near, or that whatever situation you're dealing with, God will touch. I'm going to pray over all of you. When I say amen, we'll stand, and that's when you'll go for prayer. Father God, I just thank you that when we draw near to you, you draw near to us. I ask that not a single young person who's following you will drift away. That when they see areas of compromise, that you will convict their heart and help them to see what they need to do different. And we thank you for it. In Jesus' name, amen.